Hi, everyone. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the MSP Initiative Live. The first part of the year has practically zoomed by at warp speed. We're in March, folks, and we're well into 2022, and hopefully at 2022 that looks a lot more like 2019. And that means that you're not living in your basements and your man caves and the back seat of your car, and you're out there trying to like live a little bit. A couple of housekeeping announcements while we're in the beginning of every episode. We like to do this just in case for some reason you don't listen to us on a regular basis. This session and every other session, I'm just going to share my screen, is available at mspinitiative.com under sessions. It's in podcast and video format, fast forward, rewind, and all that good stuff. We're going to be putting a form on our website if it's not already there under the community block party. We do these throughout the year. You can see all the ones from the past, and all of the ones coming up forward will flag you on upcoming events because those are always really fun. And what's newest in MSP Initiative land is the Channel Strong Tour is back, 2022 edition. So we're doing 1 week tours. We're coming to Texas. You can see all the information about that. And look at that. Our guest is going to be on that bus too. So if you check out a little bit further down the list, you see all the dates for the entire year, all the locations. We're hopefully coming to your backyard, something that doesn't require you to go very far and pay a lot of gas to get there, or spend a lot of money charging your car too. So that being said, we'll hopefully be in a backyard near you. Please check it out and join us. Texas is not next week, but the week after. So if you happen to be in San Antonio, Houston, Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, we're coming to you. Go to this page, submit your name, and we'll get you there. So that being said, that are all the, I call it housekeeping. Got my Channel Strong tour, at least an old one, old shirt rocking over here. I'm in the mode, although I don't wear cowboy hats here. It's like an anti-Philadelphia thing, by the way. But you know that because you're originally from this part of the world, kind of.
Yeah, I tried wearing a cowboy hat. It doesn't work.
An anti-New York, New Jersey thing too for people on the line that usually jump in. But anyway, welcome, Michael from Bittitan. Michael, for anyone that has never run into you before, there's a lot of people out there in IT and land. Little intro, little background about yourself. How did you get into the technology space? And then we'll talk shop a little bit.
Yeah. So I grew up in New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore. I never really thought I was going to get into technology, but so I started off my career, going through high school and stuff like that as a lifeguard on the beach on the Jersey Shore. Doing rescues every year. And then from there, got into becoming a police officer, decided that wasn't really for me. And then
in New Jersey?
In New Jersey. Yeah. Okay. Cold water. It was like the temperature for the water, like if it got really warm, was like 55, 60. So anytime there's a rescue, you got to jump in.
The lifeguard versus police officer, completely different day there, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there was a good program there though, because you would have, if you were a lifeguard, you were pretty much like set to just slide right into the police department in Seaside Heights as well. So that's kind of how I got into the whole like police force for a little bit.
You weren't writing traffic tickets, were you?
No. I was a guy as a police officer for the first year, riding around on a bike, man, on the boardwalk, running around, keeping everyone in line. All the people from New York that would come down to Jersey, drink too much, keep them from getting out of hand. Yeah. But no, did that for a while, and then I moved down to Florida for school. Went to USF, and then ran into a few friends that worked at Tech Data, and they were telling me about how much they liked it, how awesome it was, and how you're always learning something new. So ended up starting my career at Tech Data. I was actually the first Bittitan funded representative at Tech Data. So that's kind of how I met Lon, met the team. And that's really when I was like, all right, Bittitan's an amazing organization. One day, Lon, I will be on your team and we'll be working together. And look at me today, here I am. But yeah, no. So, in technology itself, I was kind of the type of person when I jumped in, I didn't want to be the person who, it's just a sales guy, had to always bring on a pre-sales representative anytime I had a question. I always wanted to be hands-on, learn as much as I can about the products and what's going on in the industry to make sure I can be of assistance to the partners. So did that. And then from there, really dove in deep into IoT and data analytics and did a lot of building of IoT solutions, really focusing on automation. And then from there, gave Lana a call 8 years later and said, "Hey, dude, let's get this started, man. I'm ready to go."
Awesome. That's a cool. So obviously the tech industry is a lot different than a lot of other careers, a lot of other industries. I mean, picture, right? I mean, you obviously moved to Florida because that's where tech data was,
Yep.
and remote work wasn't as popular back then as it is now.
Yeah.
So you're obviously, enjoying the sun. I think the fans behind you somewhere blowing all those plants around. I'm thinking, man, I'm ready to put on a coat and a hat over here. But so like, what intrigues you about the managed service provider, IT service provider space? Because it's kind of like a sub industry, a niche, right, of the larger technology space.
Yeah, I mean, I just found a lot of smart people who really cared about the people that they were working with and the end users they were involved in the business with. So that's what really drew me to it. Anytime I had a conversation with a partner, it was always a great discussion. Really tested my knowledge. And I just really enjoy the different areas of the business. No matter who you spoke with as an MSP, there was always a niche, a different area of business that they focused on, whether it be an MSP that was focused on security or an MSP that was focused on primarily just Microsoft, but was looking for another avenue to drive new revenue with, and looking at that automation space as the way to deliver that new service. So it was really, I mean, it's about the people. That's for me, any way that I can get myself in front of unique people, smart, fun people, I mean, that's where I want to be. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
So
couldn't find that in the police department.
well, it's a different story at the police department. Let's be fair. In a lot of different ways on that front. So let's talk about. I'm sure there's a Ken Patterson out there. He's not on today's show, but he's can hear it in the background. So let's talk about NCE.
Yeah.
It's a big elephant in the room in Microsoft world. And I can only assume we're going to be talking about Microsoft in this show. So what's your position, right? What are you seeing? Seems a little bit discombobulated at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, from my end, I'm not seeing the miscombobulation of I understand partners probably dealing with a lot with the transitioning and so forth, but from our end, we're seeing a lot of partners leveraging migration wiz because of NC. And what we're doing from our end is helping our not only just the partners and MSPs understand what the value is of leveraging an automation tool like migration wiz for this purpose, and not really having to focus on obviously the licensing challenges is tough, but eliminating the challenge of how do we get to the new platform? How do we, not have to worry about how do we actually migrate there is the fun conversation. So I'm enjoying that part of making sure that our partners understand, hey, we're here to take care of you. We'll make this part of it easy for you.
Okay, so clearly a lot of people had to go, or if they haven't already, they're looking now. They're seeing hey, I guess we need to do some sort of consolidation cleanup. If there's multiple accounts, maybe merging them into a single account. Obviously, a lot of these things are not easy, even with the built-in Microsoft path, right? There's not a clean way, right, to do a lot of this without, just heavy lifting, right? So, my question to you is, a lot of people pop up, and we've even seen it in the MSP space, where they're like, hey, I just want to change the name of my 365 tenant. And they're like, oh, no, you can't really do that. You actually have to start a whole new one and move everything over. And some of these people have been in Office 365 forever. Some people are new, right? I got Darren on the show here in the crowd that usually pops in. And I know he was moving from a third-party provider on Exchange servers going to 365. And that's a lot of work sometimes, right? So why is like, did Microsoft never design their platform to do this easily? It sounds like the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no. I mean, and I mean, for the most part, that's good for MSPs. It's good for business for Bittitan. I mean, it allows other organizations to take on that business and help the customers get there. So I like that Microsoft isn't really trying to handle every part of their business and really focus on building every tool to handle these types of these new migrations, NCE as an example, and so forth. So it allows MSPs to find new business, MSPs to drive new value to their partners as well.
Sure. So one of the things I learned not too long ago is, let's say if a customer, it wasn't in the right, like maybe there's a nonprofit arm of another business, or maybe there's a government arm of another organization, and like Microsoft has different like zones for these different verticals, right? So like in order to like, and so you can't keep, like, there's different pricing, there's different security, there's different rules. Let's use a municipality, for example. Let's say there was a, the municipality had some sort of nonprofit arm to it, right? Could be like a communities-based organization, whatever. The municipality is on its own bubble. And then there's maybe a police department, okay, who's now in their own bubble. That could be 3 separate Microsoft tenants, right? And they can't all live on the same account. You actually would have to separate those out if you were intending to sit everybody in the right lane, right?
Yep.
This happens all the time. I don't think people realize this kind of cut up of things.
Yep. Yeah, no. And that's where kind of, migration comes into play. We make it easy. So again, we have those different sources, different destinations that support both government, nonprofit, and so forth as well, to ensure that we're adhering to any guidelines that they have to, be, I guess.
That they have to fall underneath of.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There we go.
So,
Looking for the more difficult word.
No, it's okay. So, let's move backwards, right? Migration has been around since 365. It's been probably before, right? I remember BPOS, right? You remember that before 365? Yep. Like, so, I know you guys recently got, I don't know if you were acquired, you got funding, right? There's like a new parent organization out there. So like, now, like anywhere where you get 365, I see Bittitan somewhere in the mix, right? I think I remember one time I talked to Lon over there. He's like, "Oh yeah, we got like 250 distributors." I was like, "Wow, that's a lot of distributors." I guess Microsoft sells through a lot of avenues. But you see a lot of people moving mostly to Microsoft. Are you seeing people move to Google Apps? A lot of people, I hate the people that still may be on POP3 or some other third party, kind of email system.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of O365 to O365. That is probably what I see the most of. And that is because there's a lot of acquisitions, a lot of mergers, divestitures, and so forth. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And we're starting to see a huge trend going up in Google migrations as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so it's interesting, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, if there's not Microsoft, who is it? Kind of Google. And then I think Amazon has some sort of thing called Amazon Mail. I don't know if anybody uses it.
Yeah.
and then it's everybody else, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely it's majority is Office 365 to Office 365 is what we're seeing. And a lot of it, I mean, through my conversations with partners and so forth, especially since, I worked when I first started with Bittitan, I focused a lot on the Valier solution, which analyzes customers' infrastructures and so forth around the tenants. I was working a lot within those merger and acquisition space where customers are reaching out saying, "Hey, we just purchased X company. We want to pull them into our tenant. How do we understand what their environment looks like today? And then how do we perform the migration and make sure that we don't lose any data and it is as cheap as possible to get those customers migrated over as well as fast as possible?"
Well, hold on. Actually, just now that you say that, I popped on your website. I was like, "Oh, what's this Valier thing?" it's like an almost like a workflow and analysis tool, right? Like you connect these pieces in, and then it scans them and gives you kind of like a report, right? And then you can decide from there what you do, right? So it looks like you can, move. Here you go, feature tools, right? Office 365 license assessment, okay. Security, well, that's an interesting topic these days. Teams channel copy, okay. That's very intriguing. Maybe even between separate teams account, instances. I didn't even realize you guys had this whole piece here. So this does a lot more visibility stuff than it does, but like before you even get into, hey, what do I need to do, right? Uh-oh. Did we lose Michael? I think we did. All right, we'll give him a chance to pop on. I'll let anybody who's live in the chat or on the session. There he is. There's Darren.
Hey,
Darren,
George.
when you were moving to 365, I think you still have some people that are moving to 365. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still doing it. Yeah.
Okay. So are you doing that under like a professional services thing? Are you doing it on your own, or are you using something like this tool?
We are using something like this tool.
Okay.
Um,
So
I-
definitely don't want to do it by hand, I can assume.
no, definitely not. I mean, there is obviously certain things, we developed a pretty long checklist of items that have to get done. But a lot of that is still manual, but we are using something similar, which I couldn't imagine doing it another way. So
Yeah, that sounds crazy. But this I didn't even realize, check this out while we're waiting for Michael to come back. I didn't even realize this. Look at this Valier thing. Migration
never heard
scoping.
of it.
Look at this. Like they do all these employee onboarding and offboarding. Who would have? I mean, I almost want to see
Well,
more about that.
That's definitely more intense than what we're using.
Quarterly reports, security. This I gotta see more about that. It's actually pretty neat. Create user, 365 assign, you disable, archive email apps. Okay. I mean, this could actually streamline some of the stuff on bringing new people on and taking old people off.
Yeah, no, it seems like a good thing to have.
And security and usage analytics, right? So we're gonna go in. Like I know Microsoft has. Have you ever seen Darren the Microsoft 365 security score? This is a little bit different, right? Because it actually goes into your account and does a little bit deeper dive into who's doing what, and then you can build notifications. It looks like.
Interesting. This is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even
I mean,
know.
there's so many products now that are, want to integrate with your 365. It's becoming the newest thing I'm trying to figure out is, what should we be using to have everything we need? And yeah, there's so many options now in this space, but this looks very interesting.
Yeah, this is definitely worth a deeper dive because, I mean, this is the type of stuff that people try and build into their RMMs, and it's not quite there. And like these guys already have all the hooks for it. So I'm definitely going to spend some time after this and check this out because, I mean, if it's priced relatively well, I mean, this could cut down on some of the headache.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, that's cool. All right. Guess Michael's internet down in Florida just completely blew up, but
maybe a hurricane is passing through.
I hope not. I hope there's no hurricanes because, although I know a good friend of mine who lives down in Hollywood, Florida, that says, I've been living here my whole life. He's like, every hurricane that came through, he's like, we're still here. I said, okay.
I'm looking forward to the bus tour next week or next week
yeah?
after that.
Are you coming
Dallas,
out?
for Dallas, but I'll be there.
Okay. Oh, there he is. Michael's back. You got to use some of those Marriott points. You still got to book before they get devalued.
I did. I certainly did. Booked. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Want to make sure you get your full value. I mean, the last thing you want to
Absolutely.
do is find out the Chick-fil-A points went up, and I'm gonna have to spend more money, more
They
points.
did. They did. It happened last year. It'll happen again, and I'm sure it'll happen again.
We're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start using our points, man.
We are actually we are. I wanted to hit the number and then redeem from there. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't redeem an entire location, but
Hey, what's up, George?
All right, welcome back, Michael.
Yeah, Florida weather.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, Sade on my team's out there in Tampa, and she said that there's a pretty crazy thunderstorm coming through. I was like, So it was interesting. We were looking at the Valier, kind of platform, and it was kind of intriguing, right? It kind of did a lot of things that I didn't even realize were out there, right? Some security reviews, basically some.
So there will be a lot of changes that are coming to Valier. So a lot of those security assessments and so forth probably won't be moving forward. But one of the big things, I mean, we're, as core of what Bittitan is, which is migrations, we're going to focus solely with Valier on the actual migration aspect of it. So analyzing customers' environments, tenant to tenant and so forth, to understand what will we need to migrate and so forth. So in the future, and I'll cover Valier at a later date because we are making a lot of changes to Valier in the next few months. So I don't want to talk too much about it, and then everything starts changing, and it's not the exact same as today.
And then, can you give us a little bit of idea? I mean, it launched a little while ago, and I don't know if it went anywhere, but the MSP Complete system as well.
Yeah, so MSP Complete, that's actually going to be going away as well, but that's where Valier kind of steps into play. So MSP Complete back in the day was a solution where customers came with their own scripts and so forth and built their own automations. Valier took it to the next step where we built the automations for our partners, and they were able to leverage those automations to, again, run assessments. I mean, it's a pretty slick tool. Again, provides you with everything about what the team's environment looks like, the Office 365 environment, mailboxes, permissions, and so forth. So, I mean, everything built into one report, easy to read, helps the MSPs really understand what they need to understand about an environment before performing the migration.
Fair enough. This one's very interesting. I'm sure Darren, who's in the middle of doing some Office 365 migrations, probably has run into. Outlook auto configuration, is that real?
Yeah,
I feel like that's not real.
Yeah, so that's going to be like our deployment pro tool. So that's been around for a while.
Okay, and it actually works.
Yeah, and that's actually included in the user migration bundle license as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we close your Outlook, reopen it, good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our partners who leverage Deployment Pro, I mean, again, it's how much of the project can you automate, and the more you automate, the less your organization has to do, and less your team has to have as far as knowledge and understanding of how to reconfigure those profiles, how to migrate users and so forth. So again, additional things that Bittitan is continuously adding. And one of the things I really love about Bittitan is, we have, a lot of our competitors focus on backup and all these other areas of the business where, Bittitan has stood strong and said, what our main focus is migrations, helping our partners, get there faster, make sure we can migrate more and more in the future as we build additional solutions.
Oh, totally makes sense. I mean, just kind of stay in your lane and make it better. So it looks like there's a bunch of stuff that you're going a little bit past the mailbox, right? So
yeah,
I was noticed here you've done the mailbox, the documents. I assume that's OneDrive.
Yeah, so we can do documents. Yeah, that's gonna be OneDrive. We have our Teams migrations, SharePoint migrations, personal archive, public folder migrations, tenant migration bundle. That's actually going to be a bundle where, if you're migrating more than just the mailboxes or documents and so forth, you would simply purchase the tenant migration bundle. It's like a 4-to-1 ratio. And what that means is for every 4 mailboxes you have, you would get 1 Flex license. The Flex license is going to be either SharePoint or the Teams collaboration license for the migration as well. So how partners, and the reason why partners are leveraging this bundle is that it reduces the cost. So again, instead of having to purchase, a bunch of user migration bundle licenses, as well as equal amounts of SharePoint or Teams licenses, this is kind of a way to reduce your costs, especially if you have some bigger projects as well.
No, that totally makes sense. I can imagine Teams is getting pretty popular now, so I can imagine that's been a pretty popular tool as well.
Team Sprawl is, now that it's becoming very popular, and organizations are letting their employees just build teams and create and throw documents in them. We're seeing a ton of Team Sprawl. So again,
the problem with Teams is it holds all sorts of different types of data, right? Because you can just park stuff.
Yep.
And then it kind of isn't all, like, if somebody's not managing it, it can kind of, like you said, just explode everywhere.
Yeah. Imagine you have a sales team within the organization. They decide, hey, we're going to start this new initiative. They start it. They maybe put 1 or 2 documents in it. Maybe they run this sales initiative for a month, 2 months, and then they forget that they created that team site, and maybe it's there. It hasn't been touched in a year or 2 years. And now you're at this point where it's, all right, let's go ahead, perform a migration. We have to move into a new tenant. And you're like, wait, why is it costing us so much to perform this migration? It's like, well, you have like 200 team sites. And in some of them you have, maybe it looks like you haven't touched it in like 3 or 4 years. So it's, at that point, it's like, how do, now you got to spend all this time consolidating, cleaning up and so forth as well.
Yeah, for sure. Are you still seeing a lot of on-prem self-hosted Exchange?
Once in a while. Yes, I would say I see it like once, twice a week. I am working with a lot of various types of partners and so forth. Like I said, the biggest thing is tenant to tenant, 365 to 365, or, Google to Office 365, or, Office 365 to Google is what I see the most.
How intense does this get? Because there's a lot now of things like, MFA and, all these other, like, conditional access, all that stuff. Does that stuff come over, or do you still have to manually do that outside of the migration process?
I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to get back to you on that.
That's okay. It's an advanced question for sure.
Yeah.
And like, is there a limit, right? Because depending on your, license selection, right, there could be varying volumes of data allowance, right? Like whether it's your SharePoint sites, obviously everybody with OneDrive gets like a terabyte of storage per person, which is, I don't know if anybody ever uses the full terabyte, but it's there. And then obviously with the mailboxes, as you go up in the licenses, it like allows you to add more storage space before you even get to archiving, right? So like, it does add.
Yeah, we have various types of limitations throughout the licensing types and the types of migrations you're going to perform. So like for the collaboration license, which that's what we call it, but that's going to be focused on teams, you're looking at like 100 gigabytes of data license per team for each license. For shared documents, we're looking at migrates up to 50 gigabytes of data per license. What we did was, which is pretty cool, is for the user migration bundle, we used to have a limitation. We got rid of that. Oh. So that gets rid of, if a partner, they had a really large mailbox or something of that sort, they would have to purchase more than 1 license to perform the entire migration for that user mailbox. That's gone. We wanted to make things easier from a licensing standpoint and save our partners some money as well.
So give me an example of what the process looks like. All right, so I select my Migration Wiz bundle, right? Am I just doing email? Am I doing it all? Am I just doing OneDrive, right? Or am I picking and choosing, right? So you pick your selection of whatever the best pricing, is for you.
Yep.
Obviously, you can go through distribution. You can, I assume all of the SKUs are available everywhere, right? So, I mean, depending on who you're buying through. All right. And then, all right. So I buy what I need to buy from Bittitan. And I assume if there's a question, they can get a hold of someone to figure out what's best for them. And then what, right? Like what does that flow look like to actually start moving things? Like, I assume you're going to need credentials. I assume you're going to need to plan this out. How long does it take? Like, what does a plan look like? Like, if I'm going to start moving it, like, for example, a user could be or a tenant. I think it's probably similar planning.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that we always recommend is doing the pre-discovery of the environment. So, a week before, I would say at minimum a week before, make sure you have the customer's credentials for the environment so that you get everything set up within the Migration Wiz tool and the platform. So what I recommend is going in, we do have like an auto discover feature within there as well. So you can analyze and make sure that, hey, source credentials are good, destination credentials are good as well. We have communication between both tenants, as well as we're able to pull in all of the users that we do want to migrate. So collecting all that information is going to be very, very important because, you don't want to, most of the time migrations are occurring on a Friday night or over the weekend so that on Monday you got the switch turned on and everyone's, everything looks like it used to be, but we're now in Office 365. Cool. So it's always good, week before, get everything ready, make sure the environment's good to go. You're not going to have any stumbling blocks. And if you do, we can help you out on the support side by submitting a ticket with our support team. That just kind of prepares you so that you're not on the weekend running around trying to figure out and trying to reach out to the organization that you're looking to perform the migration with to verify, hey, are the credentials accurate, or can you verify this for us, or maybe we don't have certain access to your environment, so we can't perform the migration because of this error and so forth. So again, that pre-discovery and really, taking a week beforehand to make sure everything's ready to go.
So how does support work? Is there an option for professional services versus support, or is
Yes.
is it one lane? How does it work?
Yeah, so our solution is going to be email based. I mean, we do have phone support as well that the customer can get involved in as well. So really, it's going to depend on what type of support is the customer looking for. So if you get like a 403 error, or you get a destination error where it's like credential errors, what our support team will do is take a look at what this support issue looks like, and then based upon the issue that the customer ran into, either provide them with a KB article. So one of the other things that I really love about Bittitan is how we've documented every single support issue, any stumbling block or any type of thing around even how to set up a migration. We've documented everything very well. So, I mean, easiest way to do it is go to our help desk. When you go in there, you can literally search whatever you want. I mean, for me, that's, as a sales guy, that's what I do. When a partner comes and they're like, hey, what does this migration look like? I'm going onto their support site, and that's how I'm finding it. I'm putting in Office 365 to Office 365 migration, and all of a sudden a huge article pops up of here's step 1, here's step 2, and so forth, all the way to your migration's completed. And that really kind of gets everything set up. And then again, it has, like, if you run into any errors, each one is well documented. But yeah, so the other cool thing is if you're a new partner and you've never used Migration Wiz before, we do offer like onboarding services as well. So what that looks like is someone from our team gets on a call, learns about the partner, learns about where they're at today from a technical standpoint, what type of individuals from their team are going to be running and performing migrations, and doing like a mini training with them, helping them to really understand like what do they need to know about our tool to make sure that they're set up for success on their first project.
Got it. And then, like, at the end of the day, there's how quickly, like, let's say somebody's in a bind and they need to do something quick. I hate obviously your goal is plan so that you don't run into an issue, but it could be like something more critical. And I'm sure there's a lot of scenarios where that applies.
Yeah.
How quickly can they put this thing in play? Like, how quickly can they get licenses, sign in, and start moving?
Yeah, so getting licenses, starting to move, I mean, it's extremely quick. So especially if you purchase through our distributors as well. So, Pax8 and so forth, we've created APIs with Pax8 and all of our other distributors as well, where customer goes into the their platform or e-market, places their order, and immediately a few minutes later, or pretty much immediately, they receive a coupon code from us. And they can go ahead, add the coupon code into their Bittitan portal, and like that, they have their licenses ready to go. And then again, it's just a matter of let's go in, let's do the auto discovery, let's analyze that environment. But once we analyze and we ensure that everything's ready to go, I mean, they can start migrating.
That's cool.
They don't have to wait on us. I know there's other partners and other vendors that we compete with where they have to schedule the migration with them, and they have to make sure that, hey, once you can submit your migration with us, but you're going to have to wait until, we say we have a server for you. So it's not like that with Bittitan. We try to make sure whenever you want to migrate, you can migrate.
So I'm just curious, like, so when this migration actually occurs, when you're pulling data out of the first, let's call it 365, let's say it's a 365 to 365, okay?
Yeah.
When you're pulling data out of one account, does it actually have to pass? It goes into your servers and then back into the new account. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So, and it's only a copy too. So that's a great thing for partners as well. Put them at ease so that what they know is when the migration's occurring or when it's completed, if for any reason the customer wants to go back to their environment and they say, you know what, never mind, we don't want to migrate over, then their original environment is still intact. Nothing's changed. We're literally, copying the data over to the new environment so that the customer, once they're ready to move, they have that, or at least they have a backup as well in the original environment.
Oh, that definitely makes it easier, right? And then, I assume because you're dealing with people on all different levels, right? You have all the people, like if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm a government account, I need to make sure that everything's secure. You guys have all the compliances and stuff for all that stuff.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so let me ask you two pretty basic questions. Hopefully they're easy for you to answer.
Yeah.
What's a bad fit for MigrationWiz, right? Like what give me an example of where somebody came to you and they bought MigrationWiz and it didn't work well for them.
I think in the cases that I've run into in my short career with Bittitan so far, is if the partner does not have the technical team to perform the migrations. And it's been slim. I haven't really ran into too many of these types of issues, but it's just like a matter of, we probably would have had more success if we put that partner through our onboarding process. And the customer didn't want to go through the onboarding process. They wanted to save some money, so they tried to do it on their own with the knowledge KB articles. And a lot of times that's when they kind of run into those stumbling blocks. But again, what ends up happening is they reach out to our support team. Our support team ends up providing them with KB articles to help them understand, hey, this is where your error is currently coming from at this point in time, and here's what you need to do to overcome that challenge.
Got it. And then we kind of been talking about it the whole time, but what's a really good fit? What's like a good success story?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest success stories that I've seen is those partners that have been performing migrations manually. They have this huge team that, and they've hired really technical guys to perform these migrations themselves. And, hey, we're good at this. We know what we're doing. We can handle manual migrations at any day. Well, the question for that I always bring up to them is, well, that's great. Like, how long does it take you to perform that migration? And typically we get a response of, oh, well, it takes like 50 hours or it takes us 40 hours, whatever it may be. And when I explained to them, hey, you know, the migration, when you actually automate the migration, what you're doing is you're reducing that time frame down to 5 hours, 6 hours of actual like work and I'm talking about like discovering the environment, analyzing what needs to take place, and then clicking the start migration portion of it, and really having the conversation with the partner about, you know, it's not about, you know, can we do it ourselves and so forth. It's really about where can we save money and how can we then, by automating this one process, how can we reallocate those top intelligent guys on our team to something that's going to drive new revenue streams for our organization. So that's where, like, you know, when I started my career and then, you know, moved into the data automation IoT space, it really opened my eyes to, you know, how a lot of organizations are now starting to get into automation and leveraging these various types of automation tools to drive more revenue within the organization. It's absolutely amazing to see that so many companies now are embracing automation and leveraging some of these tools to help their company. And again, every single time I get on the phone with those partners and maybe they start using Bittitan, a couple of months later, they're on their 5th, 6th project and so forth. You know, they come back and they're telling me, hey, you know, thank you. You know, one of the things that this has helped me with is, you know, my A player on the team is now no longer just spending weekends performing migrations. Now during the week and on the weekends, he's looking at, well, what is a new service we can offer our partners?
Awesome. The last thing that comes to mind, and just it's almost like a logical question. I mean, let's say you start down the line and you know you're migrating email from one system to another or one account to another. And like, let's say that they, you know, because there's people everywhere, everyone's remote, it takes time to coordinate everyone. Like, it can't happen in a weekend. Maybe it needs to happen in a couple of weeks over the course of a month. Is there a way to do that with your tool, or is it like, hey, no, you have to segregate it into one set of time?
Yeah, no, you can do batching. I mean, you can perform the migration where it's not just every single user gets migrated at once. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
And that would just be under the settings within the tool itself. Yeah. And
Awesome.
anyone on this call, if anyone's interested, let me know after this and I'll send you KV articles and so forth on what that looks like and the various types of migration paths that you can take, because there are multiple.
Yeah, I can imagine every organization is different and they're working around the actual human being, right?
Yeah. I mean, because there's some organizations that, you know, hey, we want to on Friday, we want you to start this migration. On Monday, we want to be in the new environment. And then there's other organizations that are saying, all right, we don't want that. We want to work out of our old environment until April 1st. But in the back end, I want to have the new environment set up. So it's no rush, take your time, like just make sure April 1st we're ready to go. The MSP can go in, start to perform the migration, get it all set up, but not do the MX cutover at the end. And then it be more of like a batch type thing set up.
A lot of flexibility. It's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
So word on the street, like we said earlier in the call, is that you're going to be on the bus with us in Texas.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So I've never done the whole like bus driving around, especially like, so I've been to a few cities in Texas. I haven't been to Dallas. I haven't been to Fort Worth, and I haven't been to Houston. So I'm excited for those 3 cities. Have you been on the bus?
Oh, I've been on the bus way too much, I think. I have so many miles in so many cities. They're blur, I think. But especially like when the very, very, very first one.
Yes.
I think we were crazy. We did 3 weeks back to back to back. It was like 8,000 miles. And like, it was like a tour of America, but like really weird, like weather phenomenon were occurring, right? Like we left Chicago. I think the route was like Chicago, Kansas City. And then we go to like St. Louis, and then like goes Denver. Like somewhere in the middle of that, we passed through Iowa. And there was like an inland hurricane or something. Like we heard this after the fact. We're like, we're at this biggest truck stop in America on like, I think it was Route 80. And
Yeah.
like, it was the only place for miles where you had electric. And like, it was like a football field of tractor trailers trying to get gas. And like, we're just in line with this bus. And by the way, that place is really weird. Like they got like it's like a little town, right? Inside this truck stop. And then like we kept going. We went to Denver. We went to Phoenix, went to California, and like in California, when we were leaving, there was like a fire like behind us. It was like all this weather craziness happened. And then like, and then we turned, like we ended up in San Diego for like the weekend for a day or two, like not even a day or two, a night. And then we went from San Diego all the way to Houston.
Oh my God.
It was like 2 days. There was a stop in New Mexico, but we went all the way to Houston. And then we did
the longest drive, like without stop.
That was it. I mean, the longest drive was probably San Diego to Las Cruces in New Mexico.
Wow. Yeah, I was looking at the drive times and stuff on Google Maps, and I was like, oh man, 3.5 hours. So hearing your story, I'm like, all right,
it's a little bit cryptic because like a car can usually go faster on the road than a bus.
Oh, I didn't even factor that in.
Yeah, we learned this the hard way. So you gotta add a little bit of extra travel time in there. And
how's the bus?
The bus is pretty cool. Like it's like the same kind of vehicles that like the bands would tour around in, right? So like it's pretty comfortable. Okay. It's a good time. It's not, you're getting on a 50-person passenger bus and you're like side by side with somebody else or a Greyhound. Yeah. So it's pretty wide open. It's nice, right? You get to lounge a little bit, right, and hang out. So it's comfy, right? And Sade's favorite feature is like we do hotel stops every night, like but like there's actually bunks on the bus where you can like take a nap.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. That's good to know, man. I was kind of wondering because again, it's my first time. So I'm like, all right, what's this bus experience going to look like? Like,
how have you never been to Dallas?
I know. And my wife's best friend lives there and my cousin. So that's another crazy story. Wife and best friend got married or got engaged because they met at our wedding. So that was pretty incredible, and that's where they live in Dallas. But I think it was because, we don't really have any family there except for them. But COVID hit, man, and it's like, well, they have kids now. We're not going to go there, like get them sick, during that time.
As a card holding member of the Philadelphia Eagles season ticket members, and just generally an Eagles fan, all things Dallas are not very well liked here. And on an away game long ago, on the way, we actually went pre-Jerry World and then post-Jerry World, right? Headed into Dallas. And, even though this is out there and recorded, it's not that bad. It's actually a nice spot. I'm not going to lie. It's nicer than I thought it was going to be. Still don't like the Cowboys. And if Keith was on here, we'd get some banter. Thankfully, it's not. This guy, guy from California is a pretty big Cowboys fan, but the airport's pretty big. Don't try and go between sections in the airport without taking the train. I made that mistake because, I was like 40 gates later and I was like, why am I doing this? So that's number one. I love rolling through Dallas in my Eagles gear because it's like the anti-Philadelphia thing, right? Like if you come to Philadelphia in your Dallas gear, I can't help you, right? Whatever happens to you, it's like on you. But if I take my Eagles gear and go to somewhere else, they're scared of you, right? So like it's a double standard. And then, assuming I was just looking at the weather earlier. Looks like the weather's gonna be in like the 70s and 80s the whole time.
I'm excited. That's the one thing I'm excited about. Dude, I get to bring my leather jacket, Jersey guy in a leather jacket. I can't wait.
It's gonna be some pretty good weather while it's still cold up here. I know you're in Florida. I know the weather's nice most of the time, but up here in the Northeast, if you remember, right? I mean, like one day it's 60, the next day we got snow. You know what I mean?
I know. But the one good thing about living up north, man, as a kid especially, is I used to make bank shoveling driveways when I was a kid.
Wow. Like especially when remember when it's like 2, 3, 4 feet, right? Like one of those ones, and it's like. Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't even want to look at another shovel, right? I've shoveled so much now. Luckily my wife, got the electric snowblower. She wanted to go like the Tesla snowblower. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Like, but you basically put these batteries in and you got an electric snowblower with no gas. And
How
like
is
that
it?
was the first time I ever had a snowblower. I like it.
Yeah. Really?
Now she's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
now you're excited to go out there and clear the snow. I was like, yeah, because I don't have to break my back.
Yeah, it's either that or I've seen the guys with the blow torches just melting the snow. I think that's probably the funniest thing.
The people who do it right are, and of course, obviously, independently wealthy. I'm sure is when they do you put a driveway in, and then when the temperature goes above a certain temperature, it just heats. Yeah.
Yeah, they have that in like Vail and a lot of like the mountains and stuff like that. When you go to the ski resorts, it's pretty impressive. You see like the
Cool.
ground is steaming, and you're like,
it's like the heated floor in the bathroom, but on your driveway.
Yeah, I don't need that in Florida.
Yeah, well, in Florida, you almost need the reverse. You need the cool driveway.
That would be cool.
How many times did you go out on play basketball and you burn your feet?
Dude, yeah, like the rubber soles just start sticking to the cement, and you just
Wait a minute, that brings up a story. I was in Phoenix for an event, and I dropped something on my shoes, and black shoes, work shoes. So I washed them down. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put them outside to let them dry, and then I came back and my shoes melted.
No,
literally melted. Like the front part of my shoe collapsed. I had to go buy new shoes.
How hot was it that day?
I don't know. It's like the dry heat thing, and I literally put my shoes out for maybe an hour, and I came back and they were melted.
Huh.
Yeah, crazy. I hope that doesn't happen in Florida. Sade
No.
in the background.
We don't know. I've seen in Florida though, in really, really hot days, I've seen where those plastic fences that everyone buys. I've seen those melt.
They melt?
Those melt. Yeah. Last year,
Wow.
one of our hot days, I saw one of the neighbors' fences didn't look too hot, or it looked really hot.
Wow. Could you imagine you drop 6, 8, 10 grand on one of those plastic fences and they start melting?
Dude,
that's what they cost.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Nobody told me this before I bought a house. Everyone told me, "Oh, you don't want to rent. You're gonna save so much money buying a house."
Mm-hmm.
They all lied to me.
Really?
Yeah, man.
So you're not saving money buying a house?
I mean, the house prices are increasing, which is absolutely amazing. But I mean, you're like, again, oh, let me put in pavers on the side of the house to do a walkway or something. It's like 5K for this, 10K for that. You're like, wait, what? It was definitely
it really adds up, right? And then just wait till you have to do something like replace your air conditioner or change your roof because it's time. And then all of a sudden, big bills start coming out.
Oh yeah. I bought a new construction, so I'm hoping I still got a lot of time.
You got 20 years before something breaks.
Yeah, if it happens sooner, I'm gonna be very upset.
Yeah, well, the appliances don't last that long.
Oh no, microwave! I already had to replace that.
Yeah, the hot water heater, stuff like that, man. That stuff never lasts as long as it should.
No, especially in Florida, it's even worse. Anything that has to stay cold, it dies way quicker.
Well, it's funny because obviously Florida's always hot, and then how often you turn your heat on, and then people go to turn their heat on, and it doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
because they don't turn it on.
But when every time I turn my because you have to kind of turn on the air conditioner or the heat once in a while to kind of make sure you clean everything out. Dude, when I turn it on, my wife will come home and she'll just be like, "What is that terrible smell in the house?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah,
that's crazy."
First time I turn on that heat.
Here we go. Pete, I'm just gonna throw you on. I know we got 5 minutes left, but he already popped on here. It's like you buy a new home so that you don't have to do things. You find little cool things to do with your house, it's like buying a boat, a hole in the water. And then Walter comes up and says, "Lies. House is super expensive." Agreed. And then probably Arizona. I hear it's super hot. Walter, it is super hot. It's 110 degrees, 115 degrees, 120 degrees. It doesn't feel like that, right? in the Northeast, and I'm sure in Florida, right? Like, it's like, a lot of humidity, right? You walk outside and it's I don't wish anybody to go down to like New Orleans in the summertime, like
Oh,
June,
yeah.
July, August. You're basically walking into like a wall of water.
Oh yeah. In Florida, it's backwards. Everyone in the summer, nobody goes outside. Or
Yeah.
if you go outside, it's just you just
Well,
gotta run to air conditioning.
So what? You wait until the winter time to go outside? How's this work?
Dude, winter in Florida is the best time of the year. Like that's why everyone moves to Florida. It's winter, early spring is like our time to shine.
Wow.
And then,
Wow.
and then summer, man.
Tell all the conferences that, because there's like 8 conferences in Florida this year.
I know they do them all in the summer. They just do it in the winter. Get everyone from Chicago
Probably,
or all our
probably
friends
less
up north.
probably less expensive in the summertime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Walter's from Chicago. He's like, Chicago's crazy enough for me already. Okay. All right. I got you, buddy. I mean, everybody has their space, right? I mean, then you like people who like to fly around and they're never home anyway.
Yep.
Or forget flying around, driving around on a bus. America by highway is a lot different than when you get on planes. I promise.
Oh yeah. I grew up driving to Florida.
There's a lot of weird stuff that you find on the road. And it's like, I never knew that was there. Or, what the hell is going on here? I remember when me and Ken Patterson were driving from, Ken drove down from Boston to PA. And me and him were driving in a U-Haul through Pennsylvania into Ohio. It was like that Midwest tour at that time. And we must have, by the time we hit Ohio, like, like when your days in New Jersey, right? Like they don't like to leave cars on the side of the road, right? Like they just, cop pulls up, they call the tow truck, they move it. They never want to leave that car there. Not in Ohio. We counted like almost 60 abandoned cars on the side of the road.
That's Florida too.
Why?
Florida, they slap a little sticker on the car if it's on the side of the road, and they give it like a couple of days. Southern courtesy.
they like up here, man. They do not want that car.
Yeah.
California, you just got to watch for the cars driving down on the wrong side of the road.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
That just sounds dangerous, Pete.
Yeah.
Well,
even the OJ run was on the right side of the road.
Well, and I don't want to categorize this, but there's a lot of old people that live down there because they moved down there because they're one step closer to God, right? So,
sure.
And they retire and they go down the roads that are in the nice developments that have the island in the middle, and they go down the wrong side. They don't realize they should go to one side or the other. I mean, I can't say that we don't have the same problem around here lately, but I see it more than not down in Florida.
Oh yeah, Florida's a rough place to drive.
Well,
I work from home though, so.
Yeah, I mean, like many people do. Well, Pete, until you have to go to another country and learn how to drive on the other side, man.
Have you ever done that, George?
Oh yeah, I learned how to drive on the side of the road. I felt my way driving on the other side of the road in Australia for the first time. Yeah.
Okay.
I really feel compelled to say that really scares me that you're driving in another country.
I drove in Australia.
I know how you drive here.
Come on. Well. And for the record, I did get pulled over driving on the other side of the road in the UK, Pete, if that makes you feel any better.
So you moved your budget to an international budget to pay.
Well, hold on. Let me tell the story because we got 2 minutes left. So I was driving. I changed, like there was like an off ramp coming, and I like last second decided to take that off ramp because the GPS was taking slow to update, and like this cop pulled me right over, like he whoop right behind me. Okay, and I pulled up, like I go through this ramp, I stop literally on the ramp. I didn't even get on the other side of the highway. Cop comes up to me, is like, you made a last minute move there. We don't like that here. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, you're from the United States, aren't you? I was like, yes, the United States of America. He's like, uh-huh. He's like, when are you leaving? I was like, tomorrow. He's like, I'm not gonna even write you a ticket. I was like, why is that? He's like, you won't be here in time to get it. I said, sounds good to me. Have a nice day. Whoop.
You should have been in San Jose with the U-Haul and the U-Box when you cross 3 lanes of traffic into a hairpin exit.
And did we get there?
I think there's still grip marks by Ken and I in that little U-Haul.
So Pete, George isn't driving on this trip, right?
No, he's not.
Okay.
No.
And there's a professional bus driver, and then there's me driving the truck on the side with the trailer. So
Oh, cool.
I'm
Cool.
always looking for somebody that wants to take a trip or the 2-hour journey in between sites. You can always ride with me.
I'll leave it on this. This is, and then we'll make sure everybody knows how to find you. But this whole thing started because me and Ken were joking about, like, all the flights were starting to shut down, and like not all the conferences are canceled yet. And I think DattoCon was still technically on the calendar. And I was like, they're like, well, if we can't fly, we can drive. I was like, yeah, I'll drive you. I don't care. And then it turned into, oh, pick me up on the way, pick me up on the way, pick me up on the way. And then like it turned into, oh, we'll just get a bus. And then when Datto finally canceled, like all the other conferences to COVID, we're like, we can still do the bus. We'll just go into everybody's parking lots. And that's how this whole thing started. But
Awesome.
one thing Ken said was I wasn't allowed to drive the bus. And I said, I'm not sure I want to drive the bus.
Hey, last night he said I couldn't drive the bus.
That's true. You're not allowed to drive the bus either.
I can drive that bus. I do have a CDL, you know.
Oh, I
Really?
did not know that.
I do. I have a government CDL.
Wow. I learn new things every day.
I have an explosive ordnance government CDL.
So when I
wow.
start seeing the trucks going down the road with like the tanks on there, that's you, right?
So no, when the trucks come down the road and they have missiles on them, they get to the shipyards or the depots. And once they get there, they have to transfer over. So you have to take the government rig, take the trailer, because they're not allowed into the onload area.
Huh. Interesting.
So you would drive them from the gate into the staging area where they would be unloaded to a vehicle,
Wow.
to a ship or
Wow.
munitions depot or something like that.
We're gonna
So-
talk about that more in the next episode. Michael, if somebody wants to reach out to you, where can they find you and your friends over at Bittitan?
Yeah, so my email address, simply just Arabitg, Arabitg @bittitan.com. And then, reach out to any PAX 8, reach out to distributors, and, we can help you out there as well.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk more. We're going to see you on the bus. You're going to have a great time in Texas.
Oh, I'm going to have a blast. I'm ready.
Don't buy a cowboy hat like Pete.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Take it easy,
Wow.
guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thank you.